2,000 years ago, there was a man. There was a man who was selling with his tongue. And the stakes were not, the lost deal or the money. The stakes were his life or the lives of others who he was defending in the court. And his name is Marcus Cicero. And in today's video, we're going to go over 5 pillars of rhetoric. And what is rhetoric? Rhetoric and eloquence is speaking. And selling, what is selling? It is speaking. Yeah, obviously. But this man is the father of modern rhetoric, the father of modern eloquence. Yeah. Before him, there was a man, we'll talk about it, but there was a man with the name Aristotle. He actually, described the rhetoric, the theory behind, but this man developed everything further. And before we dive into that, let me introduce myself. My name is Arslan, and I'm the founder of Socratic Sales. And the last few years, I closed multi 4 and 5 figure deals internationally and helped hundreds of business owners with high ticket offers to do the same with the Socratic sales system. Just by understanding humans, how they work, and why their brain says yes. Now, let's go. We have part 1, the story, courtroom, no notes. Yeah. Now, you know that the sales industry is full of the sales scripts. And business owners or entrepreneurs, especially at the beginning, they think that, oh, I got this sales script from this top salesperson. Now I will be able to close. Now I know what to say when they, for example, give me XYZ objection. Because how it works, you have X objection and you have Y, let's say Z reply. Yeah. So you know what to say when they're giving you objections, or you know what to ask. But does it really work? Can you imagine you have the same objection or you have the same line from the online space, doesn't matter, Instagram, YouTube, and someone just said, oh, say this when they say that. But every single case, every single situation, every single person is different. So if you're just if someone's just repeating the same lines all over again with the different people, do you think you're going to get the same result? Or the desired result? It's like, let's say you're going on a date and some, dating expert, saying that, oh, say this, say that, have this body language, ask these questions. Do you really think it's going to work out? Okay. Now, AD BC, courtroom. This man was defending literally people who have done something bad. They've done really bad things. And he was able to defend them, his clients. Yeah. And his philosophy was like internalizing, understanding, then memorizing the lines. Because if you are in the court and you are reading from a script, it was absolute disgrace at these times. Why? Because you don't understand the subject, the matter of the subject, and why they should trust you Yeah, why they should trust your words if you can't even say, or if you can't even say anything without reading or without this cheat sheet, you know. There was a structure, but there was a simple structure. He didn't memorize any lines. And he said, if you understand the subject, the words will come. And there's a saying by another historian from Roman Empire. But rhetoric, he literally systemized rhetoric into 5 parts. We have arrangement, we have style. Now we have invention. Then we have arrangement. And then we have style, then we have memory, then we have delivery. Now, what is invention? It is knowing before you speak. What does it mean? It doesn't mean that you have to research your prospects, spend so much time on this. No, it's not about that. It's about, first of all, understanding the market. Of course, if you're selling something, let's say you are a fitness, you are selling a fitness consultation. Yeah, you're a fitness coach, and if you don't understand the fitness market, yes, you understand the exercises, you understand some nutrition plans. But you don't really understand the whole fitness market, what's going on, for example. Yeah? And what, for example, competitors, also very important. What are they selling? Yeah? And what is the main desires, problems, and the pains? And again, pains and desires are 2 different things. Pains and problems are 2 different things. Yeah, problem is, for example, I want to lose weight. No, let's say problem. I can't find the right nutrition diet. I can't find the right diet for me. Yeah. And the pain is, I can't lose weight, or I feel sick because of the weight. Yeah? 2 different things. But again, there's also, we have this part, which is the general, yeah? The collective conscious, the collective unconscious, as Carl Jung said, yeah, the collective pain or collective problem or desires. Then when we have specific problems and specific desires of the individuals, yeah, which literally their problems, their specific problems that they have. And how do you find out their problems? Okay, you know the general problems or the pains or the desires, or you understand the market, you research the market, you understand different tools, you understand different methods, you understand like how the human body works, because you must understand that if you are a fitness coach. And on a sales call, you understand that by asking questions, because on the sales call, it is simple structure and it is literally the arrangement. Yeah, we'll go. This is the second part. Arrangement is literally arrangement of of your speech. Yeah? Invention is the information that you're gathering. And it is super simple. We don't need any frameworks, anything like that. Yeah? It is discovery, yeah, presentation, and negotiations. That's it. That's it. That's this, that's the arrangement of the sales call. But inside of this, we have also different subparts, yeah, that we have to consider. But simply speaking, we try to understand our prospect, what's going on, their situation, their problems, their pains. We're presenting, depending on their pain, yeah. We're presenting personally. We have a personalized. We have personalized presentation. It doesn't mean personalized slides. We're going to have the same slides. It is how you present it, what words are you using, and how do you connect your solution to their pain. Because you're using the information from discovery, and you're also using the information from the discovery and presentation in negotiations. And the man who was before Cicero, Aristotle, from ancient Greece, he developed 3 pillars of rhetoric. Any rhetoric. And you can use that anywhere. It is ethos, pathos, and logos. If you incorporate every single one in your speech, in your pitch, in your conversation, doesn't matter. You just win people. First of all, ethos. What is ethos? It is literally, for example, your competence, how you communicate. There are different factors of credibility, yeah? Because the way how you hold yourself, or the way how you present yourself, or the way how they perceive you, they can perceive you may have no, for example, let's say no achievements, but just because the way how you present yourself, the people feel something. And or for example, maybe you don't have some sort of certificates, but as a fitness coach, let's say, or maybe you don't maybe they yeah, literally, as I said, for example, you don't have any credentials, but just because they feel that, okay, you're competent, you understand what you're talking about, because you understand the subject, they will trust you. But of course, credibility is very important. If you have any real proof, you have real case studies, you have real testimonials, anything, yeah? But people don't buy because of testimonials. I've had people that, before that, they asked so many testimonials. They asked, do you have testimonials? You show them testimonials, and then what happens? Yeah, if you had, couple hundreds of sales calls, long sales calls, you understand what I mean. Yeah. Because me, myself, I've had, probably over 2,000 sales calls, and never testimonials sold anything. If they're asking you for testimonials, it's not the problem of testimonials. There's a different problem. Yeah, there's a different problem inside of the sales call, within the sales call. Somewhere you messed up. Now, emotions, you have to pull pain. During the discovery, when you're gathering information, you're pulling pain from them. You're understanding the desire, problems, and pains. And again, in order to pull pain, you're asking questions. Credibility is also actually market expertise. If you're using niche-specific words and you're asking niche-specific questions. So let's say when I've been selling real estate, I had a marketing agency and I've been selling real lead generation for realtors. I literally researched everything. I literally became a realtor, without the certificate. Without the license, they're getting the license to become a realtor. But I knew the average listing price of the city where I was cold calling. I knew the commission that the realtors are getting and the all expenses that they have. Like for example, 3% and then minus 1% is this, and this, and this, and this, and this. Yeah. I knew the way how the realtor, like basically the bureaucratic part of the real estate market. I was researching everything. Why? Because if I understand the market, let's say there are two agencies. One is very good at marketing, but doesn't really know the market, and just helps everyone, not just the real estate, helps everyone. Or exact agency that works in real estate and understands the market and is good at marketing. Who would you work with? Yeah. Now, pathos, again, emotions. This is the most important part everywhere. People buy with emotions and justify by the logic. The logic is literally the presentation, the solution. Yeah, because your solution must make sense. If it doesn't make sense, they're not gonna buy, even if you activate all of their emotions, because it doesn't make any sense. It's not what they need. So always use ethos, pathos, and logos everywhere. Doesn't matter where you are. When you are networking with someone, let's say, first, what are you asking? What do you do? Again, it's not the best question to ask, but it is always the best to start the conversation with something location based or the topic based or maybe person based. But when you're asking this question, what do you do? You're trying to set the ethos. Oh, I'm in this and this and this. I've done this and this and this and this. They're asking, oh, when did you start? And then you are increasing the credibility of that. Then emotion. Maybe you cracking some jokes together. Maybe you ask them about their childhood and now they're emotionally attached. They're getting emotional because of that. And logic, okay, it makes sense. Everything that you say is clear. Yeah? Works everywhere. And you have to use on a sales call as an entrepreneur, whether it's VSL, whether it is a funnel, whether it's a website, anything, DMs, emails, you have to use every single leg of this tool. And you can't really use one, because otherwise you will just fall. You can't just be with logic. You can't just crack jokes without being competent. And you could be a world chess champion, for example, but if you can't really communicate, or doesn't really matter. You're not interesting. Yes, you have trophies, but you're just not interesting. You're not an interesting person to talk with. Yeah. Arrangement, the order that makes or breaks the call. Now, we mentioned that, again, we have discovery, presentation, and negotiations, right? Now, introduction. There are 6 parts of the rhetorical speech, yeah, of rhetoric, of the arrangement, basically, right? The how, according to Cicero, would you arrange your speech? And it's literally the same thing, yeah? Now, discover, introduction. This is framing. Capture attention, introduce your subject. You are framing the call at the very beginning. Hey, how are you doing? Fine, great. You're asking, yeah? And then you're saying, hey, example, we have under, let's say, 20 minutes, and I will just ask you a couple of questions to understand where you're at right now and where you want to go. And if I see something that we could help with, I'll show you what we can do. If not, we'll just end the call. Sounds good? Sounds good. You framed. You know, they know that they expect your questions. They know that you're gonna be asking questions, and you're clear, you're direct. If I can't help you, I'm not gonna, we just can't help you and just end the call. We're not gonna waste each other's time. That's it. You're clear. Next, narration. Present the background and the facts. Now, in this case, you're not presenting, but you're trying to understand the background and the facts by asking the right questions and using Socratic method. Questioning. Asking open-ended questions, asking niche specific questions, as pulling pain from them. Literally Socratic method, using the Socratic sales method. Division. State the central issue and the roadmap. Now, this one is the first discovery. Now, the half of it is also in the discovery part. Because we have to understand the issue, the pain. Now, the roadmap is the presentation part in this case. You're presenting them the roadmap, yeah? You can see it, yeah? You're presenting the roadmap with your solution. And you're showing them the evidence. You're showing them some examples. You're showing them examples of your service, case studies, testimonials, whatever you have. Yeah? But it's not the reason why they buy from you. Again, probably you had the sales calls where someone is asking for testimonials and they're still saying, I need to think about it. Presentation, and we have negotiations, refutation, address opposing arguments, objection handling, summarize and persuade, the close. Literally this simple structure. Yeah? So build first, build trust, pull pain before anything else. Doesn't matter how good you are, doesn't matter if you have thousands of testimonials, does not matter. They will never ever buy from you if you didn't build trust or you didn't pull pain. You have to understand the pain to present the solution. As a doctor, I've met one doctor, yeah, and he didn't ask me any questions. He just said, "Oh, we have to do this. We have to do this. We have to do that." He checked my organs, and then he said, "Okay, for 400 euros." Didn't ask anything. Didn't care. Didn't ask anything. Zero. This is crazy. This is crazy. How can you provide a solution without knowing my pain, without understanding my specific case? Yeah? And that's called prologue. Prologue is literally the first part, the introduction, yeah? And this is the framing. How do you frame yourself? How do they perceive you during the sales call? That's the most important part. What do they feel about you? What's the first impression? You cannot change the first impression. So please be aware when you start the call, when you start the, when you're calling someone, when you meet someone, always think about the first impression and how do you frame yourself. Because you could be the smartest person in the world, but because you framed yourself somehow differently, they will think differently. Doesn't matter. Now, second, understand the situation clearly. You have to understand the business. You have to understand what's going on. Because otherwise, how are you going to sell them? You have to understand the pain. We have to understand what they tried. Let's say you're selling ads, paid ads. What have they tried before? What happened? It didn't work out. Why? Third, define exactly what problem needs solving. You have to understand not just the surface level pain. You have to understand the deep level pain. Underneath, what is there? Didn't work out. Why? Oh, because we didn't have experts, or we tried an agency and they just they burned us, Okay, but again, they're thinking that it's the problem of the agency. Maybe it's their problem. Maybe it's the problem of the business. Okay, it's the problem of the agency, let's say. And then why haven't you tried something different? Yeah? During the first weeks, why haven't you talked to them, and why haven't you, let's say, try a different method, try different stuff? Yeah, it's very, very, general example. Of course, there are many caveats, but like, you have to always, you don't want to assume. You don't want to assume that, let's say, if they're saying that it's whatever, it's the problem of this ads, specialist or the agency. Ask a little bit more about it, just understand. Maybe, because, again, yes, you are hiring someone, but who is responsible for the outcome? The owner. For everything, the owner is responsible for everything. Doesn't matter who they're working with, who they hire, what's going on with the ads. If maybe he didn't even understand the ads, he just let them do the stuff. Everything, every single outcome of the business is the responsibility of the owner. And again, yes, maybe this was the full, the whole problem was because of them. But again, saying that it is their fault, it's because of them, is it the right way to run the business? That's the question. Competence proof. Again, how you talk, your market expertise, maybe your testimonials, maybe the case study that you have. Everything is a small brick. Address the objections before they're raised. Now, what I was doing, I would, before the pricing, I would ask during the presentation, 99%, I reviewed many sales calls, and 99% of the time, most of the presentation, the salesperson or the business owner who's selling, he's talking the 90% of the time. Like 90% of the presentation part, the salesperson is talking. And you may think, okay, of course they should, of course they're talking more because they're presenting. But think about it. You're presenting and asking questions, and you're having a dialogue, not a monologue. You want to have a dialogue during the presentation. You want to communicate, and you want to ask them something. Oh, this is how we run the ads. This is our system. This. Have you tried something before? Or what was your exact system? How did you run the ads before? How it complements your current system? You're just having conversation. You're having conversation about the market as well. This is actually the best part to talk about the market. You can talk about the real estate market, and you could combine it with your presentation, with the service that you're providing. Oh, because of market XYZ, because the real estate XYZ, we because of the average listing price of XYZ, we developed this system XYZ, and then how do you see the future of this XYZ real estate market? Oh, this and this and this and this and this. And it's also additional information, because the only thing that we have is information. The leverage, the only leverage that we have as a salesperson or as a business owner who is selling is information. We don't have anything else. If we don't have any information, and you're just, for example, selling something without asking any questions, because they said, oh, don't ask me anything, just show me what you have, they're not gonna buy. Of course, there are some caveats where you should ask a little bit different questions, but you need information everywhere. Doesn't matter how sophisticated the buyer is. And 6, the close. Close them. What does it mean? It means that, okay, you handled the objections before they're raised. Sometimes, so what I was doing, I was handling non-pricing related objections before the pricing. So I was asking about the delivery. Is there anything else aside from the pricing that would hold you back from getting started today? No, it was just pricing. So they said it's only the pricing. And now you're gonna negotiate. Maybe they said, oh, I don't have the budget right now, I don't have this, I don't have that. You're handling objections, you're trying to find the middle ground, and you're getting the cash. Yeah? Let's say they said it's 2K, it's too expensive, and for example, you're asking, okay, what will work with your current budget? Let's say they said it's expensive. First, you have to understand, okay, what does it mean expensive? Do you mean expensive? First, you could say expensive just by mirroring, and they will explain you. If they didn't explain, then you could ask, okay, is it expensive? Do you mean you don't see the value, or you just don't have the budget? Or I just don't have the budget. Okay, I understand. And first you could say, for example, you could tell them that, okay, because you explained, from the discovery, their numbers, how much they're making, the price of their, let's say the average listing price, what's their commission. So let's say from $1 million they're making 30,000 minus 10,000 expenses. So their profit is, let's say, 20K. Yeah, and your service costs like 2K. Now you're asking. So if, as I showed you before, so if you're making 20K and let's say we get you XYZ qualified leads, and the only investment is 2K and you'll get XYZ back. Does it sound like a does it sound like too expensive? No, I mean it's not, but I mean still it's too expensive, I don't want to pay too much right now because we just met. Okay, I understand completely. So, what would work with your current budget right now? I'm not saying that I will accept your offer, but just give me a counter offer. So you let them do the work. You don't even need to handle anything. They'll just, they'll just create a deal for you. Yeah? And if they say, oh, I can do, I have right now, the only thing that we could do is 1K, and yeah, because we have some other expenses. Okay. You're thinking about the deal that would work for you as well and for them as well, because you don't want to just blindly accept their deal. And then you're saying, oh, okay, what we could do is we could do it 1K, but let's say once we get let's say 3 qualified leads, and as you said, for example, after you close, or let's say 1K, and when you close our qualified lead, you will pay the rest, and let's say a commission into 10% from the profit. Okay. So whatever deal, yeah, you have to just be creative about this. But logic makes people agree, emotion makes people act. Yeah, it's like going to the gym. You can arrange, if we're talking about the arrangement again, the Cicero's second pillar of rhetoric, you can arrange, like logically, you could say that, okay, I should go to the gym. It's on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And you know that you should go. Logically, you should go, yeah? But emotionally, you're not really going to the gym. And emotion will get you to the gym. Because when we want to do something, we have some emotionally attachment to this activity. Think about it. And on a sales call, if you end the call with the numbers and features, yes, it makes sense. Okay, everything is fine, but you just made them agree with you intellectually. Like, they don't feel anything. Yes, it is great. Yes, you have 1,000 testimonials, but it doesn't really matter. Style, saying it in a way that actually lands. Again, this is probably the most important part, and why am I always talking about scriptless selling? Style. Every single person has its own style. Every single person has, like, different people have different archetypes, are different archetypes. Archetype is just literally, according to Carl Jung, the modern version of Carl Jung, we have 12 archetypes, different people with different emotions, different characters. Now, you have your own style, but at the same time, you have to adapt depending on the person you're speaking to. Their emotions, their reactions, every day people could have different emotions. They could have different mood. And if you're going to ask the same questions all the time, every single time, do you think it's going to work out? No. So, in Cicero levels of style, he had 3 levels of style, according to Cicero. Plain, middle, and high. Plain is literally to teach the audience, like, focus on the subject matter without drawing attention to style, without, Just literally talking about the subject. Middle is to entertain, amuse, maybe using some humor or more emotional style. And high ground is literally to create emotion, move the audience. It is the strongest emotions, the strongest. So every single style, you know, for me, it is there are more than this. For me, you can't just have like three styles. Like in this case, the way how you speak in terms of what you're trying to achieve, yeah, depending on the context. So let's say presentation. Presentation, you wanna create emotion, and at the same time you wanna also engage the audience with imagination. Low plane, let's say low plane would be discovery, but at the same time you also wanna engage the audience's senses. So it's a combination of this style. It's not like I'm gonna go with middle style, or I'm gonna go with grand style. Even himself, he said that it's everything. Everything depends on the context and situation, right? So plain is just for clarity, when someone needs to simply understand something. You don't want to be, super artistic or emotional. You're just explaining something. Simple. They ask the question, you're explaining. That's it. Connection, balanced, natural, conversational. And grand is moving someone emotionally, pulling pain, handling objections. Grand could be also calm. So, but at grand, you have to understand that you could be grand, but at the same time, like you could, let's say, raising your voice. Yeah, it belongs to grand style, but you could raise your voice and be calm at the same time. So it all depends. So if you use grand style on someone who just wants clarity, you sound like you're performing. You sound like they're overperforming, overacting. You know these people, right? A little bit some over performing is a little bit weird, because they just ask you questions. They just ask you a question, and you're trying to, you're trying to turn on your rhetorical skills. Of course, you can, but if you're using grand style, it's more like when you're in front of the court and you're trying to defend someone, as an example, yeah, or presenting iPhone, like Steve Jobs. If you use plain style on someone who needs to feel something, you sound flat. Yeah. Let's say you wanna pull pain. You can't use the plain style in this case. You have to use the middle style. You have to use the grand style as well in this case. Combination. So be formless. Be formless like water. If you're on the cup, become the cup. And Charles Darwin also said, like, it's not the strongest species, it's not the smartest species that survive, but those who can adapt. On a sales call, you don't need any sales scripts. You don't need anything. You have the structure, yes. You have the arrangement, yes. But the only thing that you need is the principles, the sales principles. And these principles, they've been in the library for centuries. For centuries. And people are looking for some new tactics. You don't need tactics in sales. You need to understand the principles. And it's been there for centuries. And people are trying to create some new, fancy, salesy questions or tactics. Doesn't work. Oh, I'm gonna say, or for example, I'm sure you know that. Why should I go with you? Without any context, without anything. First, you have to ask questions. Or I need to think about it. You should say this. Always. But what's the context? What's the subject? What's the matter of the subject? What's the matter of this objection? Memory. Why memorize the script is the opposite of what works. Even reading or even having the script. Because when we have a script, maybe we're not reading the script, but we have a script and our brain subconsciously relies on the script. Because when you don't know what to say or what to ask, the brain automatically, you can't just sit for 1 minute and think about the next question, right? So your body will raise cortisol and your brain will automatically rely on the script. And many people misunderstand Cicero because of that. They think that they assume memory means memorizing the lines. But it's actually about relying on your memory, relying on your competence. Because if you understand the subject, the words will come automatically. It is knowing the subject so deeply that you don't even need any lines, any questions, scripted questions. The questions will come automatically, naturally. Why? Because you're actively listening first. You understand the market second. And based on that, you will create good questions. When you are on a date, again, for example, do you need a script? Do you need a script to talk with your friends? No, because you're just listening. But sometimes we're listening, but there's a huge difference between listening and active listening. Because active listening is not just listening to the context. It's actually listening to every single word, why they're using these words, listening to their tonality, observing their body language, observing their gestures, observing their facial expressions. And combining all of it together and creating, it gives you even more information. Most of the people that are not in sales or not aware of the body language and all of this, do you think that when they communicate, they really observe the body language? They really think about their tonality. Their tonality, like the person that they're speaking with tonality and their own tonality as well. Because you're not just observing other person, you're also observing yourself. You gotta observe yourself. Because you gotta adapt depending on the person. You're not talking the same way with a child or with your nephew and with your grandpa. And now people are saying, oh, I don't want to wear any masks because I want to be myself. But are you yourself with these different people? With friends? Are you the same? And when you're talking with your mom or with your girlfriend or with your, let's say, with your nephew, as I said, are you the same? Or are you changing the style? The memorized words never fit. Never fit, it just sounds awkward, just sounds random, sounds from nowhere. You don't need it. Honestly, when these are my first videos on YouTube, and at the beginning, I thought that I need something to memorize, or I need something, you know, I needed some sort of cheat sheet, where I could look up if I don't know what to say. But then I just my the words they just they just came naturally. And I thought, when I'm using that, I'm gonna just stumble, and I'm gonna just destroy the flow of the speech. You don't need that. The brain, literally, the Cicero said, there's actually the sentence, the quote. I don't have this here, but he literally said, I mean, I don't have to explain this to you, that if you understand, if you're active, if you're listening, and you can store this information in your memory, and based on that, you can talk with someone, or explain something, or present something. I don't have to explain that it is so important for every orator. It is just obvious when you are on a sales call and you're not listening and you didn't remember everything that they said, versus you remember everything that they said, their words, their phrasings, their pain, desires, everything word to word. Of course it would help you, because it's just information that you can use. So he also said that it's not about memorization, memorizing the lines, but understanding the subject, and the words will come naturally. This saying is so good. And if you understand the subject, you will be able to solve any problem. So if you memorize the exact way of solving this equation, okay, you know how to solve this. But now if we give you a different problem, or let's say we change the position, or let's say we do this, now you are stuck, because you memorized the way how to solve this exact, the exact equation, let's say the exact form of the equation. But now it is the same equation, but let's say it is the same equation, but just presented differently. And because the person doesn't know the principles, now he can't solve this problem, although it is the same problem. It's just the positioning is different. So this is the point. If you understand the principles, and as Sun Tzu said, it just came to my mind, if you know your enemy, you don't need to fear, you don't need to be afraid of hundreds of battles. And it's not about the enemy, it's not our enemy, but the principles. If you know the principles, you don't need to fear anything. You won't fear anything. You won't be afraid of anything, because you know the principles. You will be able to find out. You'll figure it out, because of the principles. Because this is the foundation, and the sales foundation is literally. It comes from the ancient wisdom, psychology, philosophy, how the brain works, everything. Not the lines, not the scripts, not the frameworks, not the fancy, just understanding the roots. Understand the principle, not just the answer. And Cato the Elder, this is also an ancient historian from ancient Rome. Grasp the subject fully and the words follow on their own. And it's literally true. It is true. If you understand the subject, the words will come to you. You will be able to explain. Doesn't matter. You will be able to explain in any situation. You woke up, 5 minutes later, 2 minutes later, you will be able to explain that because you understand the subject. You don't even need to prepare. This is why the best salespeople, sometimes they don't even need to understand the caveats of the market. You know, the salespeople who sell something, but they're not really experts in this field, but they are still able to sell it because they're actively listening and they understand the sales subject. Yeah, they understand literally the subject of sales, the matter of sales. Of course, if you understand the subject of the market fully, it's just a double advantage. If let's say if someone hired a sales guy, let's say again real estate, he doesn't really understand the real estate, but he understands the subject of sales. He understands that he has to ask good questions, active listening, understanding their pain, this and this and this and this, without any scripts. He has some understanding about the real estate. He will be able to sell, yes. But your closing rate will skyrocket if this sales guy will understand the subject of sales and the subject of the market. It's just deadly combination. And the delivery, the most underrated part of every sales call. And people say it's not, or there's a saying, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And even Cicero said that, according to Cicero, there is truth in that. You can have the best invention, the best arrangement, the best perfect style, but if your delivery is not coherent with the context, yeah, sometimes people can have the worst offer and they are still able to sell. Why? Because of the delivery, the tonality, the body language, the cadence, high inflection, low inflection, the words. And the piece most people skip is writing before speaking. Now, the best way, even according to Cicero, the best way to improve your rhetoric, your eloquence, because what is sales? Again, it is just talking, and the pen is the greatest teacher of speaking. Just write down your words, because if you can't finish your thought on a paper, it's gonna be the same outcome when you're speaking. And this way you train your eloquence, you train your vocabulary, and you train your awareness as well. I mean, just journaling it has so many advantages, like in different fields, different sectors. But if you really want to become an orator, really good orator, because the best salespeople, they are really good orators, and you want to learn from Cicero. Because what is sales? Sales is just communication. Communication is just talking with people. And on that note, thanks for watching. If you know someone who is entrepreneur with high ticket offers who could benefit from this video, I appreciate that if you could share with them this video, and because it would develop the channel further, to grow the channel further. And if you like the video, please subscribe, like, and Be formless. This is Socratic Sales. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.